Here's our complete CapCut video editing tutorial for iPhone. We'll share how to use the CapCut app to create amazing video projects so you can learn exactly how to edit videos on iPhone like a pro. Okay, so I navigate to CapCut. I've just opened CapCut and I'm showing you this on an iPhone. Now this is the first screen you will see if you are opening it on an iPhone. It will give you all these different sign-in options, sign in with TikTok, Google, etc. I'm going to sign in with Google, because that's how I roll. If it's your first time, it'll also ask you what your birthday is. A little bit personal, but that's okay. I can run with that, and I don't need to show you guys that. It will then send you to this screen, and then what you want to do is navigate to Edit down the bottom left-hand corner. So then on this screen, we'll be able to see all of your current projects and previous editing projects. We know this is our first time, but they will appear here if you've been on CapCut before. We've got this big button here to create a new project, which is what we'll be doing in just a second. But up the top here, you can see a bunch of extra tools and things that are built into CapCut. It's awesome how fast they're building this out, and there's even more if we hit expand, and we can see them all in here. We've got a built-in camera app, which is actually pretty cool. And we've also got the ability to retouch your photos. There's a photo editor, text to image, captions, the prompter tool's pretty great as well. A lot of them are free, some are pro, but I think that's one of the great advantages of CapCut is a lot of it is free and you can really come up with some great edits. Okay, so right now we're going to go ahead and create a new project, and it's going to prompt us to import some video footage or allow access to photos on your iPhone. So we could select photos or live photos from here too, and we've generally what I'll do here is I'll import my primary camera footage, so the main footage we want to edit down. So we're going to pick this clip here, and now just to select that we can tap on the circle. We can see that's now selected. If we wanted to select multiple clips here we can, but personally I prefer just to bring in the primary footage first and then edit it down from there. The other thing we can do here, instead of tapping on this circle, if we select this clip itself, so just tap or click anywhere on the clip, then we actually have the ability in here to preview and to play back the clip. But we can also trim it down as well, so you can see we've got these yellow handles on the side here. So we could drag this through to where we want the clip to start, and likewise at the end we could shorten it or trim something off the end if we needed to. We can hit the tick and that will apply the quick edit to that clip. So once you do have the clips that you want, you just hit add and it will add it to your timeline. So here you can see I've got my primary footage. So this is the main CapCut video editing interface. Obviously at the top here we've got our preview or our playback of what it is we're editing. Down the bottom here we've got our editing timeline. This is where you can tap on the screen, you can swipe across to preview or to scrub through your video. Down the bottom there we've got all our normal editing tools and functionalities. This is being done on an iPhone, so it is a little narrow and there is a lot more down there. So make sure you can just swipe across and you'll see all the different options. Right hand corner you'll see it says 1080p. That is our resolution. If we tap on that, we can see that we've got some different options there. We can also adjust this if we want to create a 4K video, we could just drag this up here. Likewise, if we wanted to make adjustments to our frame rate or even the quality of the video before we save it out, then we can do that in here too. So I'm going to set that back to 1080p, and you can see here we can also change our frame rate. I'm just going to tap back on the bottom section here to get back to our main timeline. Our primary footage is sitting there. Now we can pinch on the timeline here. As you can see, it's just shrunk back down, and we can just see more of what we're working with down there. If we pinch down, it will zoom out and you can see exactly it is what we're working with. Now we've got our main footage on the timeline here. One of the first things you may notice is that you've got this cut logo and tap to edit text button at the very end of your clip. Now I like to just go ahead and delete that straight up, just so we don't have to have that on our beautiful edit which we're going to create. And to do that, just zoom in by pinching on the timeline and select that tap to edit text, and you can just hit delete. You can see down there in the toolbar down the bottom. So I've seen a lot of videos where people have actually forgotten, or maybe they didn't know they could actually remove that. And I'm just showing you this on a free version as well. This is totally the free version of CapCut. So yes, you definitely can remove that from there. Okay, so now we want to start to trim down our footage. Here is where we want to go through and remove any bad takes, any mistakes, to start building our edit to make it look professional, or as great as it can be. So I'm going to select my clip here. If I just tap on it, you'll see it has these little white handles, and you can simply click and hold onto that white handle on either end and trim away. Just move to your left or to your right, just to get a nice clean version of your main footage. Now, let's say that there's somewhere in the middle of my edit where I've got a bad take, or we want to cut it right in the middle of the take. What we do there is we find that spot and we navigate to the split tool, which you can see down the bottom left there. And you can see wherever my cursor is, so wherever that white line is, it splits the clip there. And so now you see that little, almost like a vertical minus sign, which is showing us where the transition is. And CapCut's even prompting us there to say, add transition. Now we've split our clip in two. So now we have a left clip and a right clip. So let's say I've got a bad take that I want to remove. There's two ways to do this. Now we've already got one split there. We can simply click on that transition area and on the clip to the right, and we can trim it down like I showed you before. See there, we've got the handles, and we can simply trim it. Or another way we could do this is to add another cut like we did before. Hit that split tool, and now we've got our own separate clip there in the middle, which you can see. So if we hit delete, that's going to remove that clip and close up that gap automatically. A couple of different ways to do that, but essentially the same thing. And what you want to do is go through, remove any bad takes, and really tidy up that main piece of footage. Okay, so we've done our first pass on this edit. It's also worth noting here that each one of these little clips, we can actually just pick up and move around. So let's just say that this chunk here, we want to move a little bit later in our edit, or before this clip or that clip. We literally just tap and hold and pick them up and move them to where we want to. Okay, so just while we're speaking about editing down our main footage, there's a new feature in here that you need to know about, which could come in handy. It's the how to edit from a transcript, and it's the bottom right there. It says transcript based editing. If you've got your main footage and that's highlighted, and then you click on the transcript based editing tool, it's going to go through and it's going to transcribe our video, and we can now see that we've got our transcript of what's been said down the bottom here. And if we wanted to, we can delete any of these sentences, any of these words, which is quite amazing. I can just highlight that whole sentence there and delete it, which actually is quite an amazing tool and quite a handy tool. There's also a feature where you can automatically remove filler words up here. We're on the free version here, so we've got to manually go through and find those filler words to delete. But if you're on the paid pro version, it can automatically remove those filler words up here. And that will get rid of any filler words or gaps or ums or ahs, which I tend to say a lot of when I'm talking to camera. Could be quite handy for me. Now your base edit is done, the next step here is to bring in any B-roll or overlay footage to really spice up our edit and make it look really captivating. So we come down to this button that says overlay and we click that, and then we can go through and find any extra photos or video clips. I'm going to work with video here because I'm a professional. I've got a beautiful sunrise at my local beach. We'll select that one and we'll add it. And as you can see, when you add it, it actually, for whatever reason, it's made it a little bit smaller than the primary footage. I think that's maybe just to make sure you know that your primary footage is sitting there under your B-roll footage that you've just added. You can see that it's just sitting on top, and if we pinch on it, we can make it smaller or larger, and we can just reposition it to wherever we would like it to sit on that primary footage area. See, I've got a little bit down the bottom there, which is not ideal. You want to just center it and make sure that it's covering it. In most instances, I would say. So whilst it is sitting on top of our primary footage, as we can see with our naked eye, on the timeline, you can see that it's actually just sitting underneath our primary footage. That's where it sits down there on the timeline, and that's where you can work with it down there, even though it's actually physically sitting on top of our primary footage in the main playback. So now our B-roll footage is in our timeline. We just treat it just the same as we would any other clip. I can tap on it, I can pick it up, I can move it around. If I select on it, I've got those handles on the end, so I can actually adjust the start points, I can adjust the end point, we can add cuts, splits, and everything to it. But the first thing I'd suggest that you're doing here, because it doesn't quite fit our project here, is make it a little bit smaller on the screen if we want to resize it so that it fits our main. So we can do whatever we like to it, just as we did with our primary footage. Now I'm going to go in and find some more B-roll footage. As you can see, it's added it to the timeline. I'm going to zoom in too. If you pinch on the main playback footage, you can make it larger than the actual size of your screen that you're working with. And because that shot was a little bit further back, I'm going to zoom in a little bit further. And I'm just going to hold down on it on the timeline, pick it up and move it along. As you can see, I want it to go from me to B-roll, back to me, and then to B-roll. So I've created a little gap in between my two B-roll shots there. For the purpose of this video, I'm just adding in those two B-roll clips, but if you've got a long piece of primary footage, I would go through now and add in any overlay footage to your edit. go through your phone, select all the different shots that you want to overlay the primary footage. Okay, so the next step is to add any effects or transitions. Now this is an area where CapCut really excels. They've got so many different built-in effects and transitions, and a lot of it is free. There are pro versions and pro options obviously, but the amount of free options is really quite awesome. With the effects, there's a couple of different ways that CapCut allows you to apply these effects to your editing projects. You can actually add them on a clip-by-clip basis, or something that's only going to apply to that specific clip or file, or you can also add it as an adjustment layer or an overlay of its own that will be applied to anything underneath that clip. So I'm going to show you both ways here. So I've selected the clip, and now I'm just having a look at all my different effects and tools down the bottom here. Okay, let's have a look at this style here. Let's click on style, and it will pop up with a little notice to use this template. Allow CapCut to upload your media to our server for processing. It will be deleted afterwards. Okay, I'm going to hit allow so that you can use any of these different style filters and effects. And I'm just going to scroll across here, lots of pro versions, some free versions and options as well. I've gone into particle, expression, motion, face swap, video effects. Okay, let's go into video effects. And this first one here is called auto velocity. So if we click that, let's see what it does. It generates quite quickly, and if we play that back, it's got that auto velocity look, which looks quite strange and probably won't suit my edit. So I'm going to undo by hitting that undo button just to the bottom right of the player. Undo auto velocity. And I've clicked on animation here, and as you can see, there's all these awesome different options. And let's just put this little zoom movement on. Very cool, very eye-catching for the start of your clip. As you can see, it's going to play back like that. And the slider down there, you can make that animation last even longer. At the moment, it's just half a second, but you can drag that right along for a longer effect. But I'm going to leave it like that. There's also a retouch filter down here. Let's see what that does. If we click on that, it detects the face there. We can see, we can zoom in, and we can smoothen out my skin and those wrinkles if we want to, which ain't a bad idea. Pretty strange. The skin tone options there, they're all pro options. So we'll move right along. We've even got whitened teeth. You can whiten your teeth, people. This is the cheapest dentistry work you'll ever get done. So I'm gonna do that right now. I'm gonna whiten those teeth. That looks so strange, but let's roll with it. I've got nice, shiny white, pearly teeth now. Great. So there I am, looking slightly tanned and with white teeth. Like I said earlier, there is just so many different effects and different things you can do down there. So really have a play, see what works for you. When you get the chance, play around with them, see what works, see what doesn't. The other way to add effects, as I spoke about earlier, is to go down to your tools and hit the effects button there. It will take you to this screen, and you've got video effects, body effects, photo effects. We want to hit video effects in this instance, and it will take you to the effects where we were earlier, and you can add whichever effect you like, but then you can see that it's created that effect as an adjustment layer. And so you can just move that wherever you like on your timeline, and it will affect anything in its path. So that is currently sitting in that section there on my primary footage. So that is where that effect will take place. So again, if you click on it, you've got your white handles there. You can extend it, you can drag it, trim it, and wherever it is, the effect will be too on your primary footage. So that's how you add in all of your effects. But in terms of your transitions, let's zoom in on our timeline here, and you can see between our clips here, we've got this little white button. So if I press on this, then this is our transition button. And this is going to allow us to add a transition or an effect that happens between those two clips. Again, you can see we've got a mix of pro and free ones in here as well. And it's taken us back to this animation section, which I actually pressed on a little earlier to have at the start of my clip. We can also add in those animation transitions between clips. So lots of different options there to add in your transitions. So once you've selected a transition you like the look of, you've got the option to apply it to all, which will apply it to any cut you have in your timeline, or you can just hit the tick in the bottom right, and that will just apply to the transition you're working with. Again, you can adjust the transition timing. You can see down there with the slider, you can make longer transitions or shorter transitions. I generally like to make mine under a second, but you can have the option there to make them really long or really quick. Now those transitions work really well if you're going from primary footage to B-roll footage. But if you want to make a transition just from your primary footage here, the camera's on me the whole time, it's looking a little bit boring. We want to keep the audience captivated. So what we can do there is do a zoom cut. And let me show you how to do that. You simply split the clip on that main footage. And so now we've got those two clips. And on that second piece of footage there, we can make a section, like select it, and we can simply pinch on that main footage and zoom in. And now this is essentially another shot, very different from the other shot, much more zoomed in. And so it's really going to contrast nicely. And it's going to just keep that edit looking really captivating and really watchable. So now it goes from a wide shot in my primary footage and transitions nicely to that tight shot. Now you may potentially be losing a little bit of quality in your video footage by zooming in like this, but it can be a great way to help you break up your video footage too. Okay, so now we've got effects, we've got transitions, we've even got some animation happening at the start of our clip there. We're going to add in any titles to our edit. So what I'd suggest here is that you're moving this playback indicator here, this white line, to where you want to have your titles added first. So let's say that we want to have a title added towards the start of the project here. Nothing selected, we have the option here to add text. We can select on that, and then we got a few different options. We can add in basic text. We've also got some text templates in here too. And we also have the ability to draw and write on our screen here too. So to add in basic text, you can do that and just start typing straight away. Otherwise, you can go to this trending section here, and it's got all these different templates. I quite like the look of this one. So let's just write Tom Rawlins, and that's created a nice little name title for me there. And if you just tap on the text itself, you can edit that down and adjust it however you like. And you can see that my name title there just animates on nicely at the very beginning of my clip. So some really cool options to add in text and text templates. In the text tool, you've also got the option to add in some stickers. You can see in here we've got emojis, we've got some different social media icons like subscribe, which I'll put that one in there. And again, with any of these, you've got full functionality. You can pinch it, you can make it larger, smaller, you can move it around. And another thing I want to show you here is this draw feature. So if we press draw here, we can make arrows, we can just make squiggly lines. We've got all these different colors. We can change the size and opacity. In this instance, I'm going to choose an arrow to point at my subscribe button just to make sure people know it's there. Let's choose this dotted arrow here, and you can see it's created a layer in the timeline there. I'm just going to put it at the top and point it at my subscribe button. You can also animate it. If you click on animation down the bottom there, you can have it coming in, drawing in, blurring, wiping from the left, wiping from the right. You can really play around with it and make it come to life, which is really cool. I'm going to have it just coming in from the left there and drawing on to say subscribe. There we go. Okay, so after you've added in your text or titles or any little graphics or stickers that you may want to put in your video, from there we're going to add in any music or sound effects into our video. So you can see we've got a bunch of different options, and the first one, sounds there. This is music and sound effects and things in here inside of CapCut that you could use and add into your videos. But a lot of these are copyrighted for CapCut for use on TikTok only. So I'd be very wary about using these in videos outside of anything that you're posting to TikTok. And this is where personally, where we go for music is Epidemic Sound and Artlist. And if I'm editing on my iPhone or iPad or my device, I like using the Epidemic Sound app because it makes it really easy for you to find great music. So let's come back out of here. Another option which they've added in here down the bottom there is you can see a copyright checker. So for me, again, this is something that I just wouldn't want to deal with or have it being a potential issue or to rely on it too much. So yeah, that is why I go to Epidemic Sound or Artlist. And we do have the ability to import audio from clips from other devices. So if you already have video files on your device here, then you can actually just pull the audio from that with this extract feature. You can also record a voiceover in here too, but in terms of actually bringing in your own music, if you've got it saved on your device, this is a process for iPhone. You want to go ahead and open up the Files app on iPhone. You want to navigate through to find the item that you want to use. So I'm going to open up my files, and then I've got the option there, import audio to CapCut. I just hit that and it imports it straight away. It's actually really easy and really simple. And you can see there that my audio, my music track, has gone straight onto the timeline underneath my primary footage. How awesome is that? And just like any clip, you've got all that functionality to trim it down if you feel like it's going too long, and It certainly is going a little too long at the end of my edit there. So I'll just trim it down so the music track finishes with my last clip. And then once we've got it into a position that we're really liking, at this point, we're going to adjust the volume levels. So once we've trimmed down our music track there and we've got it into a position which we are happy with, we're going to get into adjusting the volume levels. So given that in this video here, it's mainly a piece to camera video, someone speaking to camera, therefore my voice or my narration here is going to be the main thing that we're wanting to hear. So the important thing audio wise in this video is to make sure that the audio levels for me speaking are right first, and then we'll adjust the music levels and sound effects or anything as a secondary to that. I'm then going to go ahead and select our first clip here, and then we can come down here to volume. Now CapCut does a really good job with its volume leveling, but we can see we have this manual adjustment here. We can increase the volume levels by swiping this up, or we could lower it down if the volume is too loud by swiping this the other way. And it really is a matter here in most cases of just playing it through your clip, ideally with headphones on, so you can gauge your volume levels and get them set to how you would like it to sound. What they've also done in CapCut, which is pretty awesome, is this automatic loudness adjustment setting here. And if we press the little question mark on this, here it says that the loudness of all other clips is automatically adjusted according to the loudness of this clip. This first clip that we've selected so that they sound the same, meaning that if we increase the volume of this and we get this first clip to where we want it, then we can press this loudness adjustment and it will go through and adjust all the rest of our clips so that it matches. So once you've got your volume sorted on your primary footage here, then that's the time where we want to come back to our music and sound effects, and we want to go to volume and we want to increase this to the point where we want it for our videos. Now again, this is a creative thing, so feel into it, listen to the balance that seems right to you. Get it to a point where it's just in the background and you can hear the music, but it's not overbearing on your primary footage audio. The next step here is to adjust the colors or the brightness or the contrast or any of those adjustments on your main primary footage. So I'm going to click on this main primary footage and I'm going to click on this adjust button there in my tools, and you can see there it's got filters. If we go to adjust, you can see that we've got the functionality there to play around with our brightness, our contrast, our saturation, and we can dial in those effects and get it to a point where we're really happy. We've got our temperature, we can make it cooler or warmer. We can add a vignette if we would like. We can even add some grain, and we've got that slider again just to set how extreme you want to make each effect or how subtle you want to make it. Another new feature CapCut have brought out recently is this auto adjust tool. Now usually these sorts of apps and software, automatic color corrections is not that good, but I've actually been pretty impressed with the auto adjustments on CapCut. So that is an option if you wanted to be super fast in the edit. So now it's time to export and save out your videos. So you simply click on this little arrow up the very top right hand corner. You click on there and you don't really have a lot of settings and control in here, but you do again want to make sure that you're getting all of that correct. So we're currently set to 1080p, and if I wanted to export a lower quality version or a different frame rate, then we could adjust those settings in here as well. But what we really want to look in here is the code rate, the bit rate. And that's the quality of the video, and recommended here is probably going to be fine for most people. But if you wanted the highest quality video, and I'd suggest that we do go highest quality because we want it to look as awesome as possible, then we just slide this to the end. It does bump up your file size a little bit, but it really isn't too much to get worried about. So I'm going to go for the highest quality here. And then once you're happy, we just hit this export button in the top right corner here, and it's going to export it out really quickly. Once it's finished, you'll see this screen. You've got the option to post directly to some of the social media platforms, but your video will also save to your Photos app on your iPhones. You're all done. That's the edit. How great. And I did promise you a bonus section here, and what I wanted to talk about there was the auto captions function, which I think is pretty awesome, and a lot of videos these days are needing captions. A lot of people watch videos without audio, so always handy to have captions. To navigate to the auto captions, you want to click on the text tool. It'll take you to auto captions here, and if you just click on auto captions, it will bring this option up, and again some pro options as well as some free options. You simply hit create auto captions, it will automatically generate them, and voila, you can see that they've all gone onto the timeline there, all the different sections of captions. There's going to be some spelling errors. AI isn't perfect yet, so make sure you go through, double check the spelling, and you can click on each individual piece of text in your timeline and edit it.
Thanks, Tom. Now, if you want to take things one step further and you want to dive into CapCut at a deeper level, then we've pulled together a dedicated CapCut course for businesses and for content creators. To find out more, you can check the link below in the description. As always, check out the other resources down there too. There's also a link on screen to Tom's channel. I'm sure he'd love to see you over there, and I will see you in the next video.